Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about what is executive functioning disorder. Yeah, when I was first diagnosed and on the journey of being diagnosed, this word was always brought up and I was like, I haven't got a clue. I googled it, I looked it up, and it was almost like you had to have a degree to actually understand what it is. So I've tried to simplify it. I've put it into sections to try and help people understand what it is in a more simple way, so you don't actually need to have a doctorate, or you know, you don't need to be a professor or have a degree to actually understand what it is. First, if you could smash me a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I will forever be grateful. So let's get on to the video. So the most easy and simple way for me to explain what executive functioning disorder is by literally just telling you that it's a set of skills. And it is a set of skills. But when you have executive functioning disorder, it basically means that some of these skills are not there. They haven't been implemented in your brain and you may lack some of these skills. So I think it's super important to try and break this down. So I've put it into 8 sections, 8 different categories, and we're just going to discuss each and every one quick and brief. You know, I don't want to bore you guys because some of you will probably know this, and I just want to, you know, touch up on these things so, you know, more people are aware without boring people. So I chose to split into 8 because for me it's easier to simplify that way. It's easier to keep track of kind of what I'm saying. So I've done it in 8 because I don't like odd numbers anyway, but 8, it just seems a good number. These 8 are the most common and the most, to me, the ones that make the most impact on my life. I personally find it really helpful when people discuss what they find challenging, and in scenarios of like, oh, this is how I find it hard. I think it's easier to understand. So I've chosen these 8 because these are the ones I can give you a scenario on based upon my experiences with them. Well, this one is something I've always struggled with, and I think I'm always going to struggle with it, but I am working on it. So the first one is self-control. I find this really, really challenging. It's something that impacts my day-to-day life. You know, it causes a lot of arguments sometimes because I don't have the ability to just stop, think, and then act. I'm almost like stop and act. The think part doesn't happen. So yeah, I just find it very difficult to take control of myself. And in situations like where I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious, instead of acting out and having a bit of a meltdown, you know, sometimes I can be very verbally aggressive, and I can actually be physically aggressive to myself as well. So I don't have the self-control, and that again, it really impacts my impulsiveness as well. It doesn't help that. So my self-control, that's my first one when it comes to executive functioning disorder. So the next one is self-monitoring. So this is something that I struggle with, but I have kind of learnt like techniques and coping mechanisms to help me with. So the next one is emotional control. So like the first one, like being able to stop, think, and then act, my emotions definitely take over me. I do not have the control, and you know, I am medicated for ADHD now, and I am learning the skills to be able to control my emotions better. But that doesn't mean I control them, because trust me, I don't. I have no control. I've just learned ways to kind of just think, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I basically internalize it instead of externalizing it. I used to like lash out and be kind of negative towards other people, and you know, tell people how I feel, but I don't do that much anymore. I try to sit down and internalize it, like, is that how they actually meant it? Or like, instead of letting my emotions run riot, I try to basically keep them in a cage and try to calm them down myself, because otherwise things get out of control. I have learnt ways to cope, but it doesn't work like that all the time, and it definitely isn't natural to me. As I've grown up, I've just had to learn, because obviously I was born with ADHD. I was born with ADHD. Things are not easy for me, nor will they be you if you have ADHD. You're going to find things hard, and I think of the emotional side and the self-control, that is something you're always going to struggle with. I think it's always going to be an issue, but as you get older, you learn life lessons. You're in situations where you think, I never want to be involved in that ever again, and you know, the ability to self-monitor, like I said a minute ago, it naturally can kind of come into play a little bit, and you start to learn. It's not natural, you just have to learn. It's like forced learning, because it's difficult, but you do it, because in society you're expected to, and you know that if you act out and let your emotions take over, there could be serious consequences. And sometimes, you know, you have to be put into situations like that, and then you learn. And I've been in multiple situations where
I'm like, oh God, I didn't have to let it escalate like this. I didn't have to act like that.
And I've kind of learned, since being on medication, I can control them a little bit more. But without medication, when I was on a medication break, I literally, and I'm going to be honest with you,
medication is the only thing that works for me.
Therapy doesn't work. I've never learned to control anything. So these executive function things that I'm talking to you about, they are not easy for me. I am on medication, so they are a little bit easier for me now. So I have learned little tricks and tips along the way that have helped me kind of learn to cope, but they are not easy for me. I've had to learn, and I also have really supportive parents that help me schedule, prioritize, organize. So these things are never going to be easy. You just have to learn to adapt. Like you do mask in society, you learn to mask, and you just learn to mask your difficulties with executive functioning disorder. You just learn to just deal with things, because that's the only way to get through life, because things like this are not just going to happen overnight. You have to learn, and with ADHD it's really difficult. So don't judge yourself. Do not feel like you are, you know, you're not worthy of anything, because you are. We just process things differently. So just chill, don't judge yourself, you're doing amazing. So the next one is something that I've spoken about before that I find really difficult, and that's the flexibility. So for me, the change of routines, the change of structure, that's okay. I don't find that sort of thing difficult. But if I feel like I have lost control over the whole of my routine, for example, I don't know, for example, if someone said, we're going to go on holiday next week, and I was pretty pumped about it, right? And I was really excited, you know, and I felt, oh, I really want to go. And then it was cancelled. That's when it would kind of affect me the most, because I feel totally out of control.
All right, well, I wanted to go.
I can't reason with that sort of flexibility. Like, that sort of thing is something that I find very difficult. So when it comes to routines, naturally, like brushing your teeth, having a shower, brushing your hair, personal hygiene routines, I struggle with that, because I don't really find routines help me. I try to not, I like to be spontaneous. I don't really like to be controlled by a routine. I kind of just like to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and that's like sporadic. But when I left school, I found it really difficult to settle into my new normal of college, and the flexibility of college, that you only go in like 2 or 3 days a week. You're not there 8 till 3, you're there maybe 9 till 4, and times are really difficult. And that sort of routine, that hit me when I was at school for, what, 12, 13 years? I don't know, however long. You're at school and you're in the same routine, you know, you come home and then you go back to school and you have the weekends off. Well, when you get older, that certainly adjusts, and I found that very difficult. So, yeah, routines, if I'm in control of the routine, I'm fine, but when it gets changed and it's kind of like, well, I wanted to do that. Like, if it's a very small thing, it doesn't really bother me. I can kind of get over it. But the other day, I was going to go for a coffee with my sister, then she didn't want to go anymore, and then
shit hit the fan.
So, yeah, it's a mixture for me. I just find it very difficult, really. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. So flexibility is just difficult for me. So initiation is the next one. Task, initiation, initiating a conversation, basically starting something is very difficult for me. And I know that I'm not the only one. Basically, when you have ADHD, you can basically procrastinate on everything. You naturally are like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, I've got plenty of time. But you know it's due in tomorrow at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're like, oh, I'll start it at 12:30. Well, then I've got 2.5 hours, that'll be fine.
And the project will probably take like 4 hours, and then you've just got to cram it in the time you've got, because you've left it way too late.
Me. So yeah, that's something I find really, really difficult, is initiating a project or getting started on anything. For example, having a shower, brushing my teeth, washing my hair. I just procrastinate to the last minute, and then I'll probably fall asleep and not do it, because it's just, yeah, I just find things very, very difficult. I mean, a lot of you will probably have guessed this, but the next one is organisation. So for me, I just cannot organise myself at all. So I will plan to do a video, and then I'll be running in and out of the house because I'm like, I need to get this, or I need to get this, or I need to get this. Because I just don't organise stuff, and I just do things sporadically, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot this, oh, I forgot that, and then at the end I'm like, do you know what, I can't be bothered anymore. I've just done a workout, I've just ran up the stairs 20 times. So yeah, my organisation is not good, especially if I'm doing something. So for example, if I need to do something tomorrow, a lot of people would pack their bag, get ready, get their homework put in their bag, get all their clothes sorted, get all the stuff. Me? No. I'll get up 5 minutes before I think is when I need to leave, and then I'm like, oh god, I've got 10 minutes to get my hair washed, get ready, have a shower, brush my teeth, get to the train station, get there, and then get to where I'm meant to be going. That's not 10 minutes, that's like an hour. But yeah, 10 minutes apparently, I can achieve all of that. Can I? No. So yeah, I find that very, very difficult organising myself. So the next one is something that I find really odd, really. It's really like difficult for me to actually explain. But anyway, it's working memory. So for me, right, I can remember long distance. Like I can remember things when I was like 2, and people are like, how do you remember that? And I'm like, I don't even know. It's just here somewhere. It's just stored in my brain, and I just remembered it. But if you told me something 2 hours ago and you're like, could you do that for me? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. They're like, are you going to write it down? And I'm like, no, I'll remember it. I'll remember it. It's only a little thing. Will I remember that thing?
Absolutely not.
No, I can't remember anything, like short term. If someone says, oh, can you do this? And yeah, you know, I can't do it. I can't. Like if you say, give me some instructions, like can you turn left? Like turn left, then turn right, then turn right again. I can't remember any of that. Like I get confused. I'm like, was it right, left? Then I forget what I'm actually meant to be doing, because I'm trying my hardest to like remember what you said and then concentrating. I just get confused and frustrated. Then I'm just like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And then people get let down by me, and I'm just like, sorry, because I put too much pressure on myself, and I should have just written it down. Yeah, so working memory isn't great for me either. I've got quite a photographic memory as well. Like I can remember things by photos. So like for example, someone can write something on a board, I don't know, distant. If someone writes something down, I'll literally look at it, and then I can literally remember it, like what it looks like, and like patterns. I can remember patterns. I'm really good at all of that. But if you have asked me something 2 minutes ago and asked me to say it again, I wouldn't remember any of it. So here are some tips and tricks to help you with your executive functioning disorder. So setting yourself time limits, like putting an alarm clock on, giving yourself 5 minutes to do these things. Like brush your teeth should only take 5 minutes. Set that alarm and get things going so that you can get yourself in a routine naturally like that. That is something that could help in a classroom. You've got 5 minutes, get all your stuff organised and put in your desk. Within 5 minutes, you can get an achievement point. Things like that can really encourage kids, and it can help them learn along the way. So something that I have found that is really, really helpful is trying to reduce distractions around you. So I think it's really, really important that if you are a person giving information or giving instructions to a person with executive functioning disorder, I think it's really, really important that you try to make these steps and instructions really, really simple. So try and make the, you know, instead of going, you need to do this, try and slow down, maybe write it down or state what is the most important, and try to make things really, really easy rather than complicating it. So if you're literally going to ask them to colour, I don't know, colour an elephant, instead of saying things like, oh, you need to be really, really creative, get this done, get this, and then colour an elephant. So instead you could just say, so you know this elephant, I need you to be creative and colour it in. That's just quick, simple, and it's easy to remember. You don't need to go into too much detail. I think, you know, minimal detail, quick, easy steps rather than like long, complicated instructions. I think that's really helpful too. So I definitely feel that giving yourself brain breaks is really, really beneficial. You know, instead of trying to make yourself focus, if you give yourself little breaks, it can encourage you, like, come on, you got 10 minutes, so I only need to concentrate for 10 minutes. Then, you know, after 10 minutes, you have a 10-minute break. It can really help encourage you to focus more. I hope you've learned something from this video. Like I say, executive functioning disorder is basically a set of skills that someone with executive functioning disorder can actually lack. So these skills aren't implemented at birth. Some people struggle with them. Some people learn them throughout infancy. Some people don't. So it's really important that you don't judge someone. If you feel that someone's got, you know, executive functioning disorder, it's really, really important that you try to use those tips I've just given you to help them and encourage them, motivate them in situations that could be super stressful and overwhelming for them. So thank you so much for watching. I really, really hope that you've enjoyed this video. Remember to like it and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!